The hour of 7 o'clock having arrived, I'm going to call the council to order. Let the roll reflect that all council members are in attendance and a quorum has been established. We're going to begin this evening with a proclamation. February, as most people know, is Black History Month, and I'm going to ask Rich Menke to meet with me up here at the podium. Rich is here. An exciting program coming up here in February in regards to Black History Month. I'm going to ask Councilmember Brox to begin reading the proclamation. Go ahead and
Whereas we celebrate the Black history of Hastings that began with the arrival of Robert Burns, a barber, in 1857, and
whereas we recognize that the early Black residents of Hastings assumed the responsibilities of citizenship as they started businesses, gained employment, purchased property, built houses, established churches, began civic organizations, and educated their children, and
whereas we recognize in 1907 intentional burning of the African Methodist Episcopalian Church, Brown's Chapel, and that a growing Ku Klux Klan presence during the 1920s, including dances, marches, rallies, and cross burnings, served to intimidate and ostracize our Black citizens, and
whereas on behalf of our forefathers and foremothers, we acknowledge these unkind and unjust acts from our past, and
whereas we dedicate ourselves to building a more welcoming community and celebrating the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion that will someday allow all Hastings residents to realize the dreams of our first Black citizens.
Now therefore be it resolved in celebration of Hastings Black History Month 2018 and in the spirit of reconciliation, the Hastings City Council invites the Hastings community to participate in the Building Bridges, our Black History event, at the Hastings High School Auditorium at 2 o'clock on Saturday, February 24th, 2018.
Thank you, Council. And Rich, I'm going to present you that proclamation. I want you to talk a little bit about the program that's coming up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Rich Manke, and I do represent a new organization in Hastings called Building Bridges in Hastings. We feel that knowing our community's story is vital to our civic life. Surprisingly, few of us know the story of our first Black citizens. It's an amazing story. It's rich and it's complicated. I want to do something this month to build a better Hastings, learn more about our history. Please join us for this Black History Month celebration at 2 p.m. on Saturday, February 24th at the Hastings High School Auditorium. The show will be filled with learning and with laughter. Our Readers Theater group will bring our history to life, and an improvisational comedy group, Blackout Comedy, will perform. Admission is free, and donations will be accepted. For more information about the performance or Hastings Black History, please go to lakesidecemetery.org and click on Black History Month, or go to Facebook, Building Bridges in Hastings. Thank you very much, and happy Black History Month. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have a swearing in of a new officer, Patrick Dietrich, and I'll turn it over to you, Chief Schaefer. Welcome to the meeting, Chief.
Thank you, Your Honor, City Council members, and City staff. This is an exciting night for us, not only with the swearing in of a new officer, but recognizing some of the great work and bravery of some of our citizens. I'm going to use the phrase that you used this week, Mayor, and that is, there's no better time than now to live in Hastings.
Thank you.
So,
I've heard that.
yes, that was. So we. Again, we really appreciate everybody coming here tonight. This is a great turnout. So I'm going to start out with introducing Officer Patrick Dietrich. Says tonight we do have the honor of swearing Patrick Dietrich in as one of our newest police officers. Patrick is a native of Mora, Minnesota. He attended school in Hinckley. He completed his associate's degree at Itasca Community College in 2006, was on the Dean's List. He completed his Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Criminal Justice at University of Wisconsin Superior in 2008. Diedrich was employed as a detention deputy with Carver County before coming to Hastings. He currently resides in Bloomington with his wife Angie. Patrick began his employment with the City of Hastings in early June as part of a new hiring collaborative called Suburban Law Enforcement Training Academy. The process lasted about 6 months, involved 7 metropolitan cities, and more than 480 applicants that had applied to the program. Through vigorous testing and interviews, Diedrich was one of 14 candidates who was eventually hired and was brought to the Hennepin Technical College Academy from June 12th through October 4th. So they went through this vigorous process, and one of 14, one of 480 people is absolutely amazing. So we're very, very proud to have Patrick with us. When they went to Hennepin Tech College, through those several months, they had to complete their state-mandated training, and after they completed that training, they took the post-exam for the state of Minnesota in order to be a licensed peace officer. Pat came back to us in October, started the field training program, which he completed last week, and is now solo on patrol on the night watch, I think. I know he wanted days and weekends, but it wasn't going to work, so. But anyway, he works. He's working the night shift now, so again, we're very proud of his accomplishments, and we celebrate that tonight. At this point, I'd like to have Patrick come up, and if our clerk could please administer the oath.
I, Patrick Diedrich, do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, and the ordinances of the City of Hastings, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of police officer of the City of Hastings, counties of Dakota and Washington, and State of Minnesota, according to the best of my judgment and ability. On my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will uphold the Constitution, my community, and the agency I serve. Thank you.
Stand right there. One of the most well-known symbols of policing is the badge. This badge is a symbol of trust and authority. It comes from and belongs to the people of Hastings. With this issuance, we pray that you will serve a long and safe and successful career with the Hastings Police Department. Tonight, your badge will be pinned on by your wife, Angie. Outstanding.
We have a picture. Yeah. Council, why don't we go in front for a picture with Officer Diedrich?
That's one of the fastest pinnings I've seen. I'm impressed. Oh, man. That's good. It's his moment. One picture. We'll do it after we do all of this. Thank you.
Okay, next, Chief, we have some citizen awards here. I'll note that Fire Chief Shute is here as well tonight. Welcome to the meeting, Chief. Glad to have you here. Okay?
As we mentioned, I'm going to turn the program over to Deputy Chief Wilski. He wants to, he's going to give a brief reading of the awards and have the individuals come up and get their plaque. And we'll get probably a picture at the end if that works for
Absolutely.
you,
We
Your
want
Honor.
that picture,
Okay,
yes.
very good. All right, with that, I'll turn it over to the Deputy Chief.
Thank you, Chief. As the Chief mentioned, my name is Dave Wilski, and I am I'm the Deputy Chief. So Mayor Hicks, City Council, City staff, thank you for allowing us this time to recognize outstanding work by the citizens of Hastings. Building a safe and healthy community is a responsibility of all of us, and as you will see, the citizens recognized today have contributed a great deal in making Hastings a great place to work and live. And on a side note, I've been here for about 9 months, and I will tell you the reason I wanted to come to Hastings is because I was looking for that kind of atmosphere, that kind of community, and I am absolutely amazed at how citizens can help out the day-to-day tasks on what we're trying to do. So for our first award, it's going to be the Citizens Award of Commendation. So Mr. Joseph Merton, if I could have you can stand over here if you want. And Officer Jeff Latch, if you could also come forward. Officer Latch was the one who recommended Mr. Merton for the award. On August 19th, 2017, at approximately 8:15 in the evening, Officer Latch was assisting Dakota County deputies in an attempt to capture a male that fled on foot after a vehicle pursuit. The foot pursuit entered a field, and the suspect had the advantage of distance from the officers. Officer Latch was pursuing the suspect on foot, with Joseph Merton observing the police incident. Due to the conditions in the field, Mr. Merton realized officers were having a difficult time gaining on the suspect. And I will tell you, I don't want to be chased by this man right here because I've seen him in action. So it was hard going in the field. Mr. Merton made the decision to assist officers by driving his four-wheeler out into the field and providing a ride to Officer Latch to gain ground on the suspect. Mr. Merton did not have any type of obligation or requirement to assist officers, but chose to offer his assistance and equipment to assist in the capture of the suspect. Mr. Merton's actions showed courage and selflessness and his dedication to the safety of his community. It is for these reasons that the Hastings Police Department would like to recognize Joseph Merton with the Citizens Award of Commendation. I'm going to have you. What's that? Okay. And Mr. Merton, come down because we'd all like to shake your hand. Thank you very much. Excellent work. All right. Good. You're good. Thank you. All right, and some of these individuals that we're recognizing tonight, I have not met yet. So I'm hoping everyone's here. We're just going to hope for the best. So Mr. Thomas Groh. Excellent. If you could come forward. Mr. Jesse Russell. Mr. Levi Chapman. Gentlemen, I haven't met you yet, so it's nice to meet you. And I don't believe Sergeant Jim Galland could make it today. He is experiencing some family issues that he has to be home for. So on November 22nd at approximately 4 p.m., Thomas, Jesse, and Levi were working in the Christmas tree lot near Walmart and observed a male running in the parking lot with an AT&T employee chasing him. The employee pursuing was yelling that the other male had stolen money from him. If I'm not being accurate at any point, just let me know, okay? Because I was not there. Thomas, Jesse, and Levi, without hesitation, began chasing after the male suspect as he entered the Arby's parking lot. All three stopped the suspect from entering the Arby's restaurant and held him down until Sergeant Galland could arrive and take the male into custody. The male suspect was ultimately charged with theft for his actions that day. The quick thinking and selfless act by Thomas, Jesse, and Levi allowed the Hastings police to effect an arrest and return merchandise to the business. Without their intervention, it is possible that the suspect would not have been apprehended and held accountable for his crimes. For these reasons, the Hastings Police Department would like to recognize Mr. Thomas Groh, Mr. Jesse Russell, Mr. Levi Chapman, with the Citizens Award of Commendation. Jesse?
Thank you.
Thank you. Levi?
Thank you.
Excellent work. Thank you. Appreciate it. And if everyone could stick around, because we're going to have some pictures at the end with City Council as well.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Sydney Radke and Addie Buck. Jesse Clark. Officer Dan Tollefson could not be with us today. He also had a family emergency he had to go home for. Officer Craig Nowlin. And Conrad Fuchs. Is Conrad here today? Okay, we were hoping Conrad was going to be here today because this definitely involves him. This is a Citizens Life-Saving Award, and due to his health, he probably could not make it, which is unfortunate. So on January 12th, 2018, at approximately 0825 hours, which is 8:25 in the morning. Sorry, I get stuck in this military time, and then everyone stares at me. Jesse Clark went outside to move his truck and had observed Conrad, who is his neighbor, lying in his driveway. Conrad had been shoveling and went down. Jesse has known Conrad since he was a little boy and immediately ran to check on him. Jesse called 911 after determining Conrad was in desperate need of medical attention. With the assistance of the 911 dispatcher, Jesse began giving chest compressions. Addie Buck and Sydney Radke were on their way to school when they observed the scene in Conrad's driveway. Addie and Sydney did not hesitate in rendering first aid, as Sydney had been trained in CPR and offered to take over for Jesse. And I just learned tonight that I believe that Hastings Fire Department trained CPR, correct? Okay. Officers Nowlin and Tollefson responded to the scene and located Conrad in the driveway with all three citizens assisting with Conrad's care. Officer Nowlin noticed the severity of the incident and retrieved the AED, which is an automated external defibrillator, from his squad car. As Officer Tollefson arrived, he observed that the AED device was being placed on the patient. Officer Tollefson then took over CPR efforts involving chest compressions on the patient, and during this process, a shock was advised and delivered from the AED. At this time, paramedics arrived on scene. Officers continued with their life-saving efforts, even though it was -8 degrees outside, and eventually prepared the patient for transport by the Hastings Fire Department. Hastings fire personnel continued the life-saving efforts while en route to the hospital, and Conrad had a strong pulse, was breathing on his own when they arrived at the hospital. For these heroic efforts, the Hastings Police Department and Hastings Fire Department would like to recognize Jesse Clark, Sydney Radke, and Addie Buck with the Citizens Life-Saving Award, and in addition, the Hastings Police Department would like to recognize Officer Dan Tollefson and Officer Craig Nowlin with the department's life-saving ribbon. This one's for Jesse. Sydney?
Thank you.
Addie. Here you go. Thank you very much. Okay, Mayor, how would you like to do the picture?
Well, we're going to go up and ask, I just want to say on behalf of the community, to all the service award winners, or I should say, those who earned great citizenship here tonight. I think it really says a lot to those who get engaged, be aware in your community. I think it's a good idea to take CPR, right? Probably the winners here tonight, or we just accommodated right now, is you know, I bet you got any of it. Who took CPR? Well, okay. I just took my first CPR class about a month ago. So it proves you're never too old to take that class. And but I think also I want to say that, you know, it's important as citizens of a close-knit community like Hastings to help your neighbor, know when your neighbor's in trouble. You know, Jesse, you were out there. You noticed your neighbor in trouble. Thank you. The other recipients, you noticed that someone was in trouble or was yelling for help because they were running away, and you're able to step in. That's great citizenship. And that's leading by example. And so we all learned something tonight. And so thank you for what you've done. You're serving a great example for others, and we appreciate it on behalf of the community. Thank you. Now we'll go up for a picture.
If the award recipients could come forward, and then we'll have a picture taken with City Council, that'd be great. And then I have protectors for you guys if you want them. We can get them afterwards. Because you have to hold them up high during the picture. No. I'm telling you, brother. And that's fine. I'm telling you. I don't know. I don't know if they want. Maybe we'll do some afterwards. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on a second, please. We want to bring our chaplain up very quickly, and then also we have cake and coffee upstairs for everybody, so we didn't want you to run out too quickly. So,
we are so excited with our new officer. Welcome aboard, and I want to pray for you and your family. And want to thank God for all these wonderful volunteers and citizens that have just went outside of your normal day just to help somebody else. So let's pray. Father, I thank you for our new officer and his family, that you just keep him safe, keep his family safe. Lord, give him wisdom and guidance every day that he's on duty. Father, I also pray for all those today that are receiving commendations. Lord, for their heroism. Just thank you for them, their bravery, their selflessness. Be with them and bless them in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Thank you. And there is a reception upstairs, so feel free to, everyone, please feel free to go to the reception. What's that?
I raided your office of your extra chairs.
No, I was in there when the police officers
They
were in
came
there.
and got the,
Yeah,
they came
said,
and got some more.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because there was only a few rows and,
Yeah, I didn't put, we had like 4 rows.
so we got that. Okay.
It's a little disaster.
Okay.
It's all right, learning next time.
Okay, next we have the approval of the minutes. Council, we have before us this evening the minutes of the workshop on January 16, 2018, and the regular city council meeting on January 16, 2018. If there's any additions or corrections to the minutes of those two meetings? Seeing none, they stand approved. Council items to be considered. Any additional council items to be considered? Seeing none, we'll go to consent agenda. Council, what's your wish? Councilmember Brock makes a motion to approve, second by Councilmember Lightfeld. That motion is now before the body. Is there discussion to that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion prevails. Next, we have the 2018 tenant sanitation residential rates. And Melanie, I'll turn that over to you.
Thank you, Your Honor and Council, and we do have representatives from Tennis and the MPCA with us here tonight. But what I will do is do a brief overview of where we are and how we got here. So as you're well aware, we have an exclusive residential solid waste collection license with Tennis Sanitation. It was originally entered into in 2012. It was renewed in 2015. The current contract does expire at the end of this year. As part of the current contract, Tennis is required to deliver solid waste in compliance with all local and state regulations. And as an exclusive residential hauler, the waste collected by Tennis is considered from a quote-unquote public entity. Within their contract, they identified a site previously known as Resource Recovery Technologies in Newport as their solid waste disposal site in alignment with all appropriate regulations. At the time that they made their proposal for the renewal in 2015, that site was still operating as Resource Recovery Technology in Newport. In 2016, that facility was purchased by Ramsey and Washington counties and renamed as those two counties' Recycling and Energy Board. That entity then proceeded to change some of their tipping fees, those fees that are charged to haulers for disposing of the waste at that site. Those rates were not known to Tennis Sanitation at the time that they made their proposal for their current contract. So Tennis Sanitation reached out a few months ago because they were notified of these rate changes, and we held a committee meeting with Utilities Committee, chaired by Councilmember Balsanic and Councilmembers Brox and Lund on January 9th, where they were able to visit with Tennis and talk about the implications of the change in site and the increase in tipping fees. Tennis has requested consideration of increasing the rates for the 2018 contract. Again, this is the last year of the contract. We expect in the next 60 to 90 days, we will be developing a new RFP for services beyond 2018, but this is the last year of the contract with Tennis. They would, of course, be able to bid for any future contracts. At the meeting on January 9th, the committee was sympathetic, and they were supportive of the change that was requested by Tennis Sanitation for the 2018 rates. If approved by the council, any changes would be effective with the next billing cycle. So in this case, it'd be effective beginning second quarter of 2018. The committee did recommend that Tennis develop a communications plan to communicate any such changes to the community, and Tennis indicated that they were willing to do that. So with that brief background and context, I'm happy to stand for any questions. We do have representatives from Tennis Sanitation as well as the MPCA to speak to any further questions as well. Thank you.
Okay. Council, this item is before us. Councilmember Vaughn.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a question for either the Tennis representation or even the committee. Did the counties that purchased this place not honor agreements, contracts that were already in place? Did Tennis have a contract with them through 2018, or did they just change the rates on you without?
Please come to the
any
podium.
word?
Thank you. Welcome to the meeting, Mr. Tennis. We're glad to have you here. I'm sure you would rather be somewhere else this evening, but the business dictates it, right?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Council, and staff. Willie Tennis, Tennis Sanitation. No, they did not honor anything. Once they purchased it, everything changed. And we had met with the county before they purchased it, and they asked for a letter of recommendation from our company, and they told us there was going to be no changes. Well, we gave them a nice letter, and they purchased the facility, and within months, there was change after change after change. Nothing to our benefit, unfortunately.
And not that you would know, sorry, Your Honor, are you the only one, or everyone was affected? So it was Washington County that purchased the property, correct?
Yes.
And so they're the ones that made the change without honoring it?
Yes. And the problem is, and Sig from MPCA is here, because this is Dakota County, they just want Washington and Ramsey County at this facility now. But we had numerous meetings, and they grandfathered us in, I guess you want to call it, for 2018 to take the city of Hastings MSW because of the fact, since you are an organized city, the comprehensive plan from Dakota County and the MPCA says if you're an organized city, your MSW has to go to a processing center. And so we cannot landfill it. We could landfill it for a lot less money, but under the laws, we have to take it to a processing center. And with that, they said, yeah, they'll take it, but boy, did they up the rate. And so there's only one other hauler in the same situation we are, and that's in Scott County. And so you're kind of a unique situation here.
And do we, do we have a place in Dakota County to do the same service that they're offering?
At this present time, there is not.
There's not. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Tennis, we know about the burn facility they have in Red Wing. I know that they're underperforming in terms of getting waste there. Has there been discussions with them? And is there, maybe PCA might know the answer to that, is there any limitations about what they can take there?
No, as a matter of fact, Red Wing has approached us. They would like to bring us recycling and take our MSW, but the city of St. Paul Park will not give us a transfer license. Our property is zoned I-1. Best of my knowledge, that was good enough years ago, but they have a new comprehensive plan, and now they're saying for us to have a transfer station, we need I-2. So we're kind of in a pickle right now. That's what our game plan would be, to get this transfer set up so we could take all, because there's some of our Dakota County trash that we're taking to a landfill now. And our company has religiously gone to that plant in Newport since '87 when they opened. And that's what we believe in processing, but unfortunately our hands are tied.
Okay. Councilmember Lund.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Tennis, in 2017, you experienced a fairly significant uptick in expense as well. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was that?
In 2017, you also had an increase in expense at that facility?
Yes.
But didn't charge any different for your service at that point?
No, we had signed a 3-year extension with the city, and that was one of the changes that they made. They upped our tipping fee for out-of-county disposal. And the county said, well, just go back to the city and just tell them what happened, raise your rate. It's like, that's not the way we operate. I'm sorry. So yeah, we already had an increase, and we just absorbed it. And but this one was a lot bigger than the last one, and we just cannot absorb anymore. So that's why we had to come before the city and ask for this raise.
Councilmember Brox.
I have talked to many residents who really appreciate the service that you provide, who appreciate Tennis not only for their service, but that the City of Hastings has a relationship with you as our hauler. So I just want to say thank you for that. And also, I have had several conversations with Dakota County representatives and representatives from Ramsey County as well, some of whom are running for office, to discuss this issue and to let them know that sometimes when an entity takes over in one area, they're squeezing somebody in another area. And so I think we do need to have some further discussions with Dakota County about the future of this issue in Dakota County, because I don't think we're going to be the only ones that are going to be dealing with it. And I think we should start having those conversations to see what is going to be done from a strategic level in Dakota County to have some sort of processing facility or to have something that's more local, because I think we're going to need it in the future. I don't think that's something the City of Hastings can do on its own, so I'd love to see us collaborate with some other entities and to see how we can creatively solve the problem as we look to the future. But I am supportive of the increase for the time being, understanding the situation that's at hand that was not created by tennis or us, and sympathize with that, and just look forward to creatively solving the problem in the future. And just so you know, we do have land for $1 in our industrial park, if you're looking for a place to be.
We may have to look at that.
Mr. Shirley from the MPCA, would you like to make a comment at all? Okay. You know, one of the things I want to ask is, obviously, Ramsey and Washington County made an investment to purchase that facility in Newport. But I kind of find this almost like price gouging because we live in Dakota County. Is there any rules or regulations that govern? I mean, it almost seems like Ramsey and Washington County are getting subsidies, but because we live across the river, we are not. Is that a correct interpretation?
Yeah, that's part of their philosophy or whatever you want to call it. They are subsidizing the haulers in Washington and Ramsey County because those two counties have a CEC tax that is astronomical. The citizens are paying double in those two counties. And so since they don't have that in Dakota County, that is one of the reasons that they do not want to take any out-of-county MSW. And like I say, originally we got a letter, said they weren't going to take any. Well, then we had to make some phone calls and get some politicians going on this, and they got it that they will take. Well, then we found out that Hastings had to go to a processing facility. We were told they didn't have to, but then later found out, yes, we had to. So then at that time, they finally said, okay, we'll take it, but this is the new rate. And it's astronomical.
Yeah, right. $94, whatever, ton. Was there more questions? Councilmember Fultz, did you have your hand?
Thank you, Your Honor. Quick question. So they are telling you, Ramsey, Washington Recycling and Energy Board, they're telling you that they'll honor your agreement through 2018, and then thereafter you need to find someplace else to bring municipal waste, correct?
Yes.
At that point, and then it's going to go through the cycle. Okay. And then
Please.
I'm wondering as to what Councilmember Brox was beginning to, that train of thought that you're going down. It is my understanding that Dakota County just recently did have a draft plan out for solid waste processing, and what the county's plan is going to be, and they were taking a comment period. I had colleagues who participated in that, and I saw the plan. It was about that thick, but I didn't get a chance to read it. Might there be an opportunity to invite someone from the county to give us an update? And it's nothing that's pressing, right, within the next couple of weeks, but if we're going to be dealing with it in the next several months, to ask them to fully inform us about where we are with this issue. And then one last issue. I have had a couple constituents in the last year or so bring up an issue about an additional fee when their garbage bin is actually open somewhat. So like, let's say you threw a bunch of cardboard in there and the lid is open. And so there's an additional fee for, I'm not even sure what this terminology is because I didn't see the bill, but it was like a too full of a garbage bin fee. And I was just curious, where is that outlined? You're looking at me like you're not sure what I'm referring to. And so, and this is why I was bringing it up because I was just curious as to how it is that miscellaneous fees are dealt with. Just kind of out of the blue, random question here. Sorry if I caught you off guard.
No, I'm sorry, but I know our company does not charge if a lid is open. I know that's not a true statement. They had to have had at least a 30-gallon bag or something outside of their container for us to charge. And there again, in the contract with the city, there's certain things we can charge for and certain things we can't. And so I know in the contract, an open lid is, there's other companies that do that, but I guarantee you our company does not charge like that.
Okay. Okay, this issue is before us. Councilmember Brox. Councilmember Brox makes a motion to approve. Is there a second to that motion? Second, Councilmember Fulch? Okay. Can you state your conflict of interest, please?
Well, I work for the city of Red Wing, and I'm the contracts administrator and reading the Minnesota Cities. In this memo on conflict of interest, it said that there could be conflict of interest if you, as an employee, manage contracts. And I don't know how it is they created that one bullet for me, but just to make sure that I don't have a conflict of interest in my listing.
Okay. Okay. Councilmember Fulcher will be abstaining on the vote. Cited conflict of interest. Councilmember Bolsanic seconds that motion. So we do have a motion before the body. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion to the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion prevails. Okay, thank you. And let's hope that we can see a future here where we can deal with some of these issues. And we'll be talking to Dakota County and other avenues. Okay, thank you, Mr. Shirley, for being here. Appreciate it. Okay, Council, our next item is the Consemius Green Acre payment. Melanie?
Your Honor and Council, you have before you a request to consider a reduced deferred assessment, outstanding deferred assessment that falls under the Green Acres program. And so what I'm going to do tonight is talk briefly about the program, the parcel, and where we are today. So the Green Acres program is a state program, state statutory program for property tax to be deferred for property that's defined as green acres. Now, it's a relatively narrow definition. It's property that is productive agricultural land, at least 10 acres in size, and is homesteaded. So what that means is, in that categorization, assessments can be deferred while it's within that categorization. At time of sale of the property, any outstanding assessments or taxes would need to be paid for that sale to occur. The property in question is generally aligned with Pleasant Drive and 4th Street. And from 1969 to 1999, there were a number of public improvements that occurred at that site. At that time, there were assessments that were applied to the adjoining properties. And some of these assessments do remain outstanding due to the Green Acre status of the property and the property owner's decision on those. At the time of the improvement, the council policy established a process by which rates were charged and property owners could appeal. And we have found no evidence so far that there is any improprieties with the process and that the rates in effect are somehow not accurate. But about a year and a half ago, the property owner reached out to us to discuss resolving the outstanding assessments. There are 2 parcels in question. So a Finance Committee meeting was held in April 2017 and this item was discussed. Resolution was not received at that time, but the committee did encourage staff to work with the property owner to try to come to resolution on these outstanding assessments. So throughout the summer, we were in close contact with the property owner, and it was on possible ways to resolve these outstanding assessments. Early this year, on January 17th, in fact, the Finance Committee, so chaired by Councilmember Vaughn and Councilmembers Balsanic and Brox, considered a proposal to pay off at a reduced interest rate one of the parcel's outstanding Green Acres assessments. So the original amount is $92,000. The proposed reduced amount is $73,000. The committee was supportive of recommending this settlement. And if the council is acceptable to that, we would recommend that it be applied to close out existing capital project funds, existing street project funds. So with that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions. I don't see that the property owner is here tonight, but I would be able to stand for any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Lund.
Thank you, Your Honor. Committee members or anybody that knows, I guess, what was the driving factor for that number that was selected, the $70-some thousand.
Your Honor and Council Member, within your packet, we have two documents that you'll find maybe will shed light into that. And the first one is the deferred assessment amount that had been calculated through the life of the deferred assessments. And you'll see an interest rate applied for various years for various projects. And that is, when we look at the bottom, is an outstanding assessment rate of about $92,000. And what we did is we worked with our finance staff and we asked them to take a look at when council now would apply an assessment, we use a different calculation. So we asked them to go back and use that rate for the applicable year as close as possible. So that's a couple pages down, and you'll see that's varying assessment rates. So that's what that difference is. It's just a different calculation.
This issue's before us, council. So basically what they did was we took how we would calculate the assessment today, and plugged that formula in, as if it was today with those years, and that's what the cost would have been. And so we felt that that was a good way to offer to the landowners a possible, resolution in terms of compromise that would not been at the higher rate, but at the rate in which way we would calculate them today and reach resolution. And what we have before us tonight is at least on one of those parcels, they're taking us up on that offer. So I'll have a motion made. If anyone care to make, Councilmember Vaughn makes a motion to accept. Is there a second to that motion? Councilmember Brox makes that motion, seconds that motion. So we have that motion now before the body. Is there any further discussion to the motion? Councilmember Balsanic.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I'm a member of the committee that looked this over at the time, and my vote to recommend the discounted rate was a reluctant one. I brought this up at the committee meeting. Actually, we had a couple of meetings with the property owners, and I was asking, are there any plans for the properties for development? You're going to continue farming them? You're going to put up some home sites? Ask for some zoning changes and so forth. And what I was looking for is to see if we did offer some kind of a discount, what are we getting in return? Meaning, if there was future development on that property, then we would start to see, as a city, the county, all the way up and down the line, tax revenue that would be coming from those properties. And the answer was, no, they're going to continue farming. So my reluctance to be really positive about this is based on that. I just don't see that we're getting anything here except a discounted collection. I'm not sure what other municipalities do. I didn't bring that question up at the time we had the committee meeting. So I don't know what, if other cities have any kind of a best practice, type of a policy that would allow for something like this. So we're going from, the original amount was
93, 94.
Yeah, about 94,000. We're going down to 73. And one of the things I hate about being on the council is that it's not like $100 or $50 or something, which is like my checkbook, all right? you know, we talk in terms of thousands of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and certainly millions of dollars. You know, since I've been on the council, I think I've been responsible for helping approve over $100 million in 9 years, probably more than that, as a matter of fact. And I look at the citizens of Hastings and how hard everybody works, and so yeah, we're giving them a $20-some thousand discount here, so we can, you know, close the books on this particular portion. The other thing that concerns me is that if we do this, the other property owner that came to us at the same time is probably going to look for the same kind of a discount, but their amount that is due is close to $800,000. Am I correct here? The outstanding amount?
Yeah, I think it's been reduced. If they would pay the reduced, it'd be about $655.
Yeah, so we'd be
Out of
going from
800,000.
$800,000 to $600,000. And folks out there in TV land, those of you in the audience, that's a huge difference. $200,000. $20,000, well, it's a car. It's, you know, some pieces of equipment for the city, although we're going to take it and use it to close the books on a couple of negative balances regarding our capital street improvement fund. I don't like the precedent that we're setting. And so when you call for the vote, I am going to be in opposition to this discounted rate for that reason. Thank you.
Okay. Melanie, did you want to just clarify the numbers, just so, could I?
Thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, just for a point of clarification, you're accurate, Councilmember Balsanic, that there is another parcel with a significantly larger outstanding balance. That balance, as it stands today, is about $718,000. Under the same calculation, it would be about $587,000. So you're right, significant discount, but I just wanted to clarify the numbers real quick. Thank you.
Thank you,
Councilmember
Melanie.
Balsanic?
And it, again, just to emphasize, you know, we're not talking coffee money here. We're talking the equivalent of somebody purchasing a house, you know, a residence. It's a huge amount of money, and the precedent that we would be setting here by approving this smaller amount at the discounted rate really puts the pressure on, you know, to get a discounted rate on the larger portion of the property, or the larger portion that is still a part of the Green Acres that the other landowner is wanting to take care of. And I can kind of see what the two property owners are doing. It's like, well, you know, we didn't approve this, but he came in, he gave us a check for the discounted rate. You know, here it is. Now, what do you think? And so the committee is saying, well, okay, we'll send it on to the council with our approval, and I see what they're doing. If we approve this, then that larger portion is going to come forward and want the same thing. It's not dirty pool. It's, you know, perfectly legal for them to do that, but it is going to set, I think, a terrible precedent. Thank you.
Councilmember Vaughn.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Councilmember Balsanic, I agree, but if we look at the memo, this resident has had that property since 1969 and was willing at that time to allow us to break up that farmland to create the roads that we use today, and the roads we're still using today. And the Green Acres program, just to confirm, is not a City of Hastings program. That is a program that is on our table today because we have to manage the money part of it. I think we're doing the right thing by using the correct, in my opinion, the correct interest rates of today, because this is since 1969 this has been accumulating. And you're right, this isn't the only property, and I think it's best that we start to get this process to clean up these properties. So we do get the funding in, because I wasn't really excited. We need to pay off these debts that we had to take to put this stuff in, and that's where this funding is going. I think that was very important to the committee, is when we do receive the funds, where are they going to go to? We're going into some funds that are negative balance because we didn't have the funding to do this. So that was kind of the whole picture. It's been a long process, I agree, and we all had these discussions in committee level, but it was important to know that, in my opinion, the main reason this came through was it's time to clean up these programs, because there's not many left in the city of Hastings. Yes, there is a precedence, but it's also a good precedence because we got some debt to pay off. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Brox.
Thank you. As I'm also on the committee, I think part of the discussion, one of the points you brought up, Councilmember Balsanic, was regarding, what is the value? What are we receiving? And at least in my opinion and in my mind, the value is that this is getting paid off. We're getting a check. It's not going to sit there and keep accumulating interest and go on and on and on and be unpaid. Even if it wasn't, I think we'd be having this conversation. Maybe it'd be 5 years from now, maybe it'd be 20 years from now. We're still going to end up having this conversation. So I think the idea of the committee was the value is we're getting the check, we're settling this parcel. What the developer chooses to do or not do with the property, we've covered our improvements to the land with the money we've gotten back, and now we're kind of coming to like a stasis, like a level place, and I think we'll have to handle the other issue as it arises, and we will set a precedent, but I believe there is even a precedent before this that was along similar lines that we looked at with another property in our previous conversation about this. So I think unfortunately the precedent has already been set. We're kind of just following in that same line of thinking that the value we're getting here is just that we're getting this debt settled and paid off, and hopefully we can do that with the other one when the developer is ready, when the property owner is ready and they want to handle it, and we'll have to handle it then. So I think we're just trying to look at what's in front of us and handle that with an eye to the future, thinking that we have the possibility and we could handle it similarly, but we don't have to, we're not being forced. I think we get to choose. I think just the value is we're getting the money now.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, we have a motion before the body. All those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Nay. The motion prevails. Next, we have comments from the audience. This is anyone here who'd like to speak to the council? Sir? Welcome to the meeting. Glad to have you here. Please give us your name and address. And
my name is Bruce Favre. My wife Rachel. We're 3279 Olson Drive. We came to the last county council meeting on the 16th of January with an issue with our declarant and our property, and I would like to come to you now and thank you for your efforts. 2 days later, we did receive some paperwork, and then we confirmed that what we received, we went through the examiner of titles in the county and have confirmed that that paperwork, once signed by all the members of the association, will dissolve our association. So the efforts and the people in this room, we do appreciate it. Specifically, Justin Fortney from the city planner's office helped us out last fall with the city and gave us a letter to help us that the city would be willing to list this band. But the other members here, Mr. Vaughn and Mr. Balsanic and Mr. Flugel, that took efforts to make this action for us. So,
no, I just feel sometimes that everybody comes to you with problems and complaints, and we felt it was only right to come back and thank you for what efforts you did on behalf of us and the members of the association, because we hope to think that that is what moved it forward to resolve the issue at hand that we have been struggling with, even through our lawyer. So thank you.
Well, thank you for taking the time and communicating that with us. We appreciate that. You're right. Sometimes we don't hear about the, some of the positive things that go on, and that's very thoughtful of you to be here tonight to let us know. And we're all very happy that
thank you.
That issue has been solved. Councilor, thank you too for your help as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank
you for being here. We're still under comments from the audience. Is there anyone else like to comment? Comments from the audience? Okay. All right. Seeing none, council. Announcements. We have announcements. Councilmember Balsanic?
Thank you, Your Honor. We're having on the 15th of February, Dakota Communications Center Board of Directors meeting, and I understand our city administrator will be attending. If you'll have me. Yeah, okay. We are in the process of making some leadership changes or directional changes in terms of how things go about. As a hint, Your Honor, I can steal the nameplate with your name on it as the alternate.
Why don't you bring that back for me?
And I can bring that back. You can have that.
A little memento?
Hang that in your office
Okay.
at some point. Because we are going to be doing some changes there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Is there any other announcements? Any other announcements? Councilmember Fulch?
Your Honor, did you already have within your comments, you're going to talk about the special election going on?
Yes.
Okay.
Other announcements? Yes.
I will allow you to do that then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember. Any others? Okay, if not, I do have some announcements. Thursday, February 8th, at 6:30, HEDRA was to meet, but that meeting has been canceled. But on that same night at 6:30, the Public Safety Advisory Commission will be meeting. So that will be meeting here at City Hall. I think they're meeting at City Hall. Yep. On Thursday, February 8th at 6:30. On Monday, February 12th, that is Election Day here in the city of Hastings and in Senate District 54. So there's a special election to elect a new state senator. So more information on the polling places, voting by absentee ballots, and other election information is available on the Secretary of State's website at www.sos.state.mn.us, or call City Hall if you need further information. Staff can help you there. So Election Day, a week from today, February 12th, from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The Planning Commission will be thus moved then for Tuesday, February 13th at 7 p.m. due to the special election. On Tuesday, February 13th, 2018, from 5 to 7, the Minnesota Department of Transportation will be hosting an open house meeting at Crossroads Church of Hastings regarding the 2021 resurfacing project on Highway 316. They are seeking input on potential improvements to help with safety and traffic flow on Highway 316 from 61 to Tuttle Drive. Their project is also on the MnDOT's website if you need additional information. So a week from tomorrow night, Tuesday, February 13th, 5 to 7, Crossroads Church, relation to the resurfacing project 2021 on Highway 316, basically from the Highway 61 intersection to Tuttle Drive. The Parks and Recreation Commission will also, their meeting for that evening has been canceled. On Thursday, February 15th and Friday, February 16th, both nights, from 6 to 9 p.m., the City Council and management team will be holding our training session. Each evening at Shars Bluff is on Thursday night, at City Hall on Friday night, okay? So make sure you get that on our schedule. All right. On Monday, February 19th, is President's Day holiday, and so our city offices will be closed that day, and thus our next City Council meeting will be on Tuesday, February 20th at 7 p.m. And prior to that meeting at 6 p.m., Council, we will have a City Council workshop on sustainability. And I would also like to close by wishing a happy birthday, Councilmember Liefeld. That Sunday prior to President's Day will be your birthday. I'm sure you have a lot of plans in store.
Very significant birthday.
Very significant birthday. 30?
Very close.
Something like that. Okay. I'm going to be safe and stick with that. Okay. Councilmember Lund, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just to piggyback off the special election, if you previously voted at Casey Hall, Knights of Columbus, it's now going to be at the Crossroads Church, which is 225 33rd Street West, over by Coburn's.
Very important announcement. Thank you for that. Okay, so that's 4th Ward, Precinct 2, I think. Pretty close, yeah, something like that. Okay. Okay, Council, we have no other business before us. A motion to adjourn is in order. Councilmember Brox makes that. Okay, Councilmember, are you making? Did you need an announcement, or are you making motions? Okay. Councilmember Liefeld makes a motion to adjourn, seconded by Councilmember Brox. That is a non-debatable motion. So all those in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The motion prevails, and we are adjourned. Thank you.